Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? You know, at the core, Annex Wealth Management is about investment and retirement planning. And once a proper plan is in place, you've got a path forward. Then the fun stuff begins, like the joy of being a grandparent. And to talk about it, Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning and Development, CFP, and a CDFA at Annex Wealth Management, but not a grandma yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Got to get her through college first.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Grandparenting is just different. It's like being an aunt or an uncle. You can stir them up and then give them back, but this is deeper. You might want to bless them in certain ways through a well-crafted financial plan, and that's what we're going to talk about. Deanna, maybe the most natural place to start would be what people tend to do, which is take care of this little one with higher education, and that would be, what, a 529?
Yeah, so 529 refers to the federal tax code, and these are college savings plans. They are state-specific, so each state has their own different plan, but they basically run the same way. Congress created them as a way for families to save for their children's future education. They're flexible, they can be tax advantaged, and they're specifically set up for those educational savings used for any qualified educational expense like public or private school from elementary to college age and beyond. Even some special programs like Outward Bound can be partially covered. Now, expenses can include tuition, room and board for full-time students, books, and certain supplies and fees. And when they are pulled out and the funds are used for qualified expenses, there's no taxation on withdrawals. So it's kind of like a Roth. You put in already taxed dollars, and when it's used properly, you pull the dollars out income tax free. You name and control the beneficiary, you control the distribution of the assets, and you can change beneficiaries. So if one grandchild gets a full ride to college and doesn't need all the money, you can actually transfer it to a different beneficiary.
In your experience, have you seen where people put lump sums in? Do they contribute throughout the years?
Yeah, certainly. Now, some grandparents want to start a fund for different purposes as well, like maybe a car or helping the child save for a home. So a 529 is not always an appropriate vehicle for everybody.
Have you seen clients open up something as simple as a savings account in a grandchild's name, or maybe would it be an investment account?
Yeah, now you can put money into an account and gift over time to a beneficiary, keeping within the annual gifting limits, or you can start a fund as a custodian with the assets in their name directly, but there can be gift tax, income tax, or estate tax planning implications in this case, so you really need to work with your wealth manager on the best strategy. For 2023, the annual gift tax exclusion is $17,000 per donor per recipient. So a giver can gift to anyone, a relative, friend, or even a stranger if they wanted, up to $17,000 in assets a year, free of federal gift taxes. But you can also, beyond that exclusion, pay medical bills and tuition directly without it being a part of that exclusion. But it needs to go, in that case, directly from you to the institution and not be written to the beneficiary. So you just got to be sure that you do it right.
Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning Development, CFP and a CDFA at Annex Wealth Management. We're talking about what grandparents can do for grandchildren. How about including a grandchild in a will or an estate plan? Is that something you see?
Sometimes, yes. However, remember that a child until age of majority can't inherit directly. They need a custodian, a parent, relative, financial representative to hold and manage the money for them. So that should be a consideration in naming a minor. You got to work with an estate planning attorney on your goals and in the best way to achieve them in your estate plan.
It must be kind of fun when clients come in and they want to do something for their grandchildren.
Right.
Maybe they're not exactly sure how or what. You guide them through that process.
Well, of course. So we're here to help set up their financial plan, understand their goals primarily, and make sure that, that they're met over time.
One thing that grandparents will need to avoid, at least in my opinion, is overspending.
Mm-hmm.
A good thing is great. Too much of a good thing is not.
Sure, of course. So grandparents want to be the ones who spoil their loved ones, but you always need to remember to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Really, that means having that financial plan and watching the plan, retesting the plan in all economic conditions, building in your gifting goals, making sure that the plan supports them. And remember that a kid's and grandkids' career is also an asset. They have their life's worth of earning power. So depleting your own personal savings to the point of financial pain and pressure to have them, for example, graduate with no debt, especially right at the time of your retirement, that should be looked at really carefully. That can be a slippery slope. And while it is important to follow your values, be sure you don't become a charity yourself.
Yeah. When it gets down to it, many will suggest that grandparents spend on experiences over things. You take them to the Grand Canyon, you take them out fishing, you teach them how to sail, you do stuff like that.
I love this, Danny. We often will have people come in and say, what good is it to me, at least when I'm gone, and they get this money. Let's enjoy it all together. So experiences follow the family. Those memories last long after we're gone, potentially, whereas toys don't necessarily last, right? Having that family get together somewhere special where it's a family celebration is so important to many clients I service here at Annex. We actually build those dreams right into your financial plan.
Love it. Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning Development, CFP, and a CDFA at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.